Hello everybody and welcome to Path to Platinum, the series where even horror games are not safe from my trophy hunting prowess. Today we'll be going over the famed and fan favorite Silent Hill 2. This game has one of the most notoriously difficult trophies in all of video games' existence. But before we get into that, if you guys enjoyed this video or it helped you out, then please don't forget to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course hit that notification bell to support me. I'd really appreciate it. Now that being said, I think it's time we delve deeper into analyzing exactly what makes this trophy list so damn difficult, and how we can go about making it a little easier on ourselves. This is Silent Hill 2. Now, in the corner of my footage here, you may notice a face cam that doesn't sync up with my audio that you're currently hearing. And that's because this footage was taken from my live streams. I live stream as often as I'm able to, and it would be cool if you guys stopped by to hang out in the future. Occasionally, it's a fun time where shit like this happens. Alright, there's only 2 paragraphs left. I'm gonna finish it. Gripping the sticks. Use both your forefinger. Maneuver your middle finger to either support your thumb at the joint closest to your fingernail, or support your forefinger. This is crazy. Like, I'm pretty sure this is way overcomplicating it. But, again, I can't help but admire his level of detail. Like, he really wants you to understand what needs to be done. To me, I'm laughing my ass off because this just sounds ridiculous. But to someone else, it could really help them and maybe even be the key to doing it. Yeah, see, I'm gonna get there and just fucking ape. Like, everything I just read, one ear out the other. It's just so funny, because the way he wrote it, he's just like, you have to do it this way, or it won't work! like, if you don't have the controller perfectly in the center of your lap, and if you don't use your fingers to move the analog sticks, and make sure your middle finger is supporting the joint of your thumb, otherwise you will fail! like, but then by the end of it, he's just kind of like, whatever works for you, man. Now, the first thing I'm going to talk about when trophy hunting in this game is the endings. Basically, I want you guys to put all other trophies in the game out of your mind and merely just focus on beating your first playthrough. Trust me, this will make a lot of sense later. Once you've finished your first playthrough, depending on which of the 3 standard endings you got first, you'll want to make a save file of your cleared game data. Now, this is really important, but every time you finish a run, do this exact same thing. Make a new save of your clear game data for each of the separate endings that you get. This is a mandatory requirement for the hardest trophy in the game, so just make sure that you follow through with this. This game requires a minimum of 6 playthroughs to platinum in total, and each of the ending save files are required for what's to come, so just don't forget. Now, once you've beaten the game, you'll unlock Maria's Scenario, which is an unlockable mode where you play through some of the story as Maria instead of James. She has her own unique areas and story to explore, which makes it very enjoyable and quite different from playing through as James. It's not very long, so enjoy it while it lasts, and once you finish it, you'll get a trophy. Also very important, but you will need a saved clear game data for the Maria Scenario as well, so just don't forget to keep that saved as well. Once you've cleared Maria's Scenario, you can go back to working towards the different endings and saving the cleared game data for each one. One thing I will say before starting your next playthrough, however, is that you will have to beat the game on each and every riddle difficulty. There's easy, normal, and hard, as well as extra. However, extra can only be unlocked once you've cleared the game on each of the different riddle difficulty levels. By the time you start your 4th playthrough, assuming you've cleared easy, normal, and hard, the game will automatically be set to extra riddle difficulty once you select hard once again. I know it's a little weird and confusing because there's no actual visual indicator that you've selected extra, but if you want to visually confirm that it worked, when you save your game, even though you selected hard difficulty when you started the file, whenever you make a save, it should say riddle level extra, so that's a good indicator to confirm if it worked. Beating the game on extra will unlock a trophy. Now, it's worth mentioning that once you beat the game at least once, there will be a variety of new items that have spawned throughout Silent Hill, and there's a trophy for picking up each one. The first one you'll have access to is the blue gem, which can be found literally as soon as the game starts. Note that the gem will not be here if you didn't clear the Maria scenario. Next up, a little further down the road, you'll notice a chainsaw, which is easily one of the best weapons in the game. After that, in the apartments, which is the first main area of the game, you'll find the white Chrism located in room 105. After that, once you've teamed up with Maria again after the scene in the park, you can find the dog key over by the doghouse just after leaving the park. Note that the dog key will not spawn unless you've cleared at least 2 playthroughs. Very shortly after that, but just before the bowling alley and Eddie's Magic Pizza, you can find the Book of Lost Memories at the gas station, close to where you can loot the lead pipe. Quite a ways after that, once you're required to make your way to the Historical Society, you can find the Obsidian Goblet just before making your way down to the underground prison. And the last special item that has spawned that's relevant to specific endings is going to be the Book of Crimson Ceremony, which can be found in the alternate Lakeview Hotel near the end of the game. You can loot it in the reading room once you've passed the scene where James watches the videotape in his room. Now, looting any of these items individually won't inherently affect the ending you get. However, looting the White Chrism, the Book of Lost Memories, the Obsidian Goblet, and the Book of Crimson Ceremony all in the same run, and then defeating the final boss with all 4 of these items in your inventory will force you into the Rebirth Ending. So no matter what other requirements you've accomplished towards any of the other endings, having these items all at the same time will overwrite whichever ending you would have gotten otherwise. So it's important to keep in mind when going for the other endings, just so that you're more aware of which one you'll actually get. But yeah, that's how you get the Rebirth Ending. Now, I wouldn't necessarily recommend getting the Rebirth Ending on your second playthrough. Instead, I would recommend going for the other 2 standard endings, whichever ones that you didn't get in your first playthrough. The reason I wanted to talk about the Rebirth Ending is because it's better to be aware of what those special items actually do, so that you don't unintentionally fuck up and get the wrong ending on accident. Now, I'm going to talk about the 3 standard endings in more detail. Now, on my first playthrough, I got the Leave ending, which I think is the ending that most people will get without even trying, and that's because I think the Leave ending has the easiest requirements to perform, even without really being aware of what they are. However, in case you didn't get the Leave ending on your first playthrough like I did, I'll go ahead and explain each ending in detail and how to get them. Now, first up, the do's and don'ts of the Leave ending. And a lot of this is going to sound completely ridiculous, but I ask you guys that you please just bear with me on this. For the do's, you're going to want to head all the way down to the very end of Nathan Avenue. It's a dead end because you're not actually required to come this way yet, but this is something I feel that most first-time players would do without even being told to do anyways, because most people would want to explore everywhere their first time around. Why does this impact the ending? I have no earthly idea. I honestly don't even know how people play-tested to figure this shit out. It just seems so ridiculous that such an insignificant thing, such as walking down the street, would have any bearing on the ending you get. But I digress. Apparently it does, so yeah. Also, heal when you get hurt, meaning don't ever stay at low health for too long. Anybody's natural reaction to taking damage would be to heal on their first time around, so this shouldn't be a problem. Next, examine Mary's picture and letter from time to time. Again, I feel like most players would examine these things on their first playthrough anyway. However, apparently checking them multiple times matters, as fucking stupid as that sounds. And at the very end of the game, you're gonna get this long talking portion where you're just listening to James and Mary talk to each other. Again, most people would listen to the whole thing without being told to do so, but yeah, just make sure you listen to all of it before leaving the room. Now for the don'ts. Don't stay too close to Maria during the times when she's following you. Don't stress about this one too much since she's always unavoidably going to be near you at times. As long as you're running away from her most of the time, it should be okay, which is something I feel most people would do anyway. Don't talk to Maria again after she lies down in the bed at the hospital. Don't read the file on the roof of the hospital. Don't listen to the audio log in the reading room of the alternate Lakeview Hotel. And lastly, don't examine Angela's knife. Try your best to follow this guideline and you should get the ending without issue. Trust me, even if you fuck up some of this stuff, it's not the end of the world. Hell, I did a bunch of the things in the don'ts category, and I still got the Leave ending, so that just goes to show you it's not too strict. Next up is the Maria ending. Now, I think this one is the hardest out of the 3 standard endings to get because it requires you to do some pretty specific things. However, for the most part, you'll notice that we're going to be doing some of the things we couldn't do before, but in reverse. So as for the do's of this run, the first and most important one being, stay close to Maria as often as you can, and try not to let her take any damage. Now, to put this into perspective for you, I took this requirement pretty seriously, and I made sure I followed it to the letter. I literally walked everywhere I went with Maria, and I never once ran away from her. This is somewhat tedious, but it does matter. Maria did take damage, however, during my run, but only during the Pyramid Head chase. Besides that, I never let her get hit, and I still managed to get the ending. Avoid Nathan Avenue as best you can. I know you literally have to walk down this road to get to the bowling alley, but just stay the course and don't walk to the end of the road like we did during the Leave ending. Talk to Maria multiple times when she lays down in the bed in the hospital. Simply exhausting her dialogue and hearing everything different she has to say should be fine, and then you can move along. And immediately after the scene where Maria dies in the prison cell, simply turn around and try to enter the room again. Click on it a few times just to be safe. I think it has different text. As for the don'ts, don't examine Mary's picture or letter. Don't ever run away from Maria when she's following you. And also, don't ever bump into her. You can bump into Maria by running into her, but as long as you're always walking, this shouldn't be an issue. Don't read the file on the roof of the hospital. Don't listen to the audio log in the reading room of the alternate Lakeview Hotel. Don't examine Angela's knife. And lastly, don't listen to the entire dialogue at the end with James and Mary. Try your best to follow this guideline, and you should get the Maria ending without issue. Now lastly, we have the in-water ending, and as you would expect, we're going to be doing most of the stuff we couldn't do for the other endings, for obvious reasons. First, the do's. Examine Angela's knife every now and then. And yes, apparently multiple inspections matters. Read the file on the hospital roof. Read the message to James in Neely's bar after finishing the hospital area. Listen to the headphones in the reading room of the alternate Lakeview Hotel. And also listen to the entire dialogue sequence between James and Mary at the end of the game. As for the don'ts, it's pretty much just avoid doing any of the things that push you towards the Mary ending, like speaking to her again in the bed, or staying close to her, or trying to return to her cell. And avoid Nathan Avenue as best you can. The number one thing required to get the in-water ending, I would say, is let yourself take a crap ton of damage and then just stay at low health at all times. Never heal yourself unless absolutely necessary. The way I would judge it is if I ever felt my controller start vibrating, then I would heal. When your controller vibrates, it means you're dangerously low on health, so I would just use a health drink to stay as low as possible, while at the same time not dying. Try your best to replicate these requirements, and you should get the in-water ending without issue. Now that we got all that out of the way, you should be on your 5th playthrough by now, and it's by this point that you're going to want to scoop up the UFO ending. This ending is directly tied to the blue gem that you can find at the very start of the game. Basically, in order to get this ending, you're going to want to use the blue gem in very specific rooms. The first room is going to be the room that immediately follows after defeating the boss Flesh Lips. Simply use the gem and see what happens. The next time you use the gem will be immediately before entering the rowboat after the Eddie boss fight. And the last area you use the gem is in room 312 before James watches the video. This will immediately end the game and you will get the UFO ending trophy. And last but certainly not least will be the dog ending, which is an ending directly tied to the dog key that you loot just after meeting Maria in the park. Simply use the key on the door right next to the room 312 in the Lakeview Hotel after watching the video and see what happens. After the cutscene, you'll get your dog ending trophy. Now that we've talked about how to get all the different endings in the game, there's only really one last thing to talk about, and that's the Who Needs a Gun trophy. Now this is the trophy that will truly test your skills as a gamer, as well as a trophy hunter. This trophy will either make or break your platinum. Now, in order to get this trophy, you'll have to loot the green hyperspray in the trailer on Saul Street. However, these sprays come in several different colors, and the green hyperspray in particular can only be unlocked if you've completed a 10-star ranking playthrough. Now, I can honestly say that the 10-star rating in Silent Hill 2 is the absolute most challenging thing I've ever attempted in a video game. And you're talking to a guy who beat the elevator sequence in Resident Evil 4 on professional difficulty only using the knife. Fuck you, son! I'm out! Peace! You know how fucking long that took? But I digress. For your viewing convenience, I will list on screen all of the requirements in order to complete your 10-star run. First up is having cleared game save data of each of the different endings, including the Maria scenario. This is why I mentioned this near the beginning of the video. Once you have all those, you'll have to complete your run on hard action level, as well as hard puzzle level. Extra difficulty is also okay. You'll also have to clear this run in under 3 hours in-game time. In order to help with this, if you ever pause during the run, it stops the in-game timer. If you ever need time to think or plan something out, definitely make use of the pause screen. The item screen, however, does not stop the in-game timer, so make sure you know the difference. You can only save up to 2 times throughout this entire run. Save any more than that and you won't get 10 stars. The 2 best locations that most people would recommend that you save is your first one being just before the Pyramid Head chase with Maria, because if Maria bullshittingly dies here, then you can game over at this part, and it can be a little tricky. And your second save would be in the graveyard, just before the Eddie boss fight, because Eddie's a prick, and he can deal a lot of damage to you. Almost anybody who's done the 10-star run will recommend these 2 saves, and for a good reason. I completely agree with them on that. You'll also have to pick up a grand total of 150 items or more throughout your run. Honestly, between ammo and health, this is very easy to do, and for the most part, you don't even have to think about it. I'd say just don't go too far out of your way to pick stuff up to the point where you're constantly getting distracted from the path to beating the game. You'll also have to pick up the 8 special unlockable items during your run. Again, to recap, that's the blue gem, the chainsaw, the white chrism, the dog key, the Book of Lost Memories, the hyper spray, the Obsidian Goblet, and finally the Book of Crimson Ceremony. Links in the description for the exact locations. Next up, you'll have to kill 75 enemies by fighting, aka melee attacks only. And yes, shooting an enemy till he goes down and then kicking him counts towards a fighting kill, just to make this very easy. And you'll also have to kill an additional 75 enemies by shooting, which is a much more annoying thing to do. However, bullet adjustment helps with this, as well as the run overall quite significantly. To access bullet adjustment, press the shoulder button in the options menu to access the extra options menu, and set the bullet adjustment to 3x. This makes it so that every single pack of ammo you pick up in the game has 3 times the normal amount of ammo given to you. This honestly gets so ridiculous and out of hand that if you have it set to 3x, you will literally and permanently have more ammo than you will ever need at any given time. Meaning you could go completely bananas on enemies without ever worrying about running out of ammo, which is very nice. You'll also have to complete this run while having taken less than 500 points of damage. So to put it into perspective, James's health from full to death is 100 points worth of damage. Meaning you can kind of look at it like this. If you drop from full to near death around 5 times, that's the limit of how much damage you are allowed to take. Any more than that will void the 10-star run. Now, there are parts of the game where damage seems unavoidable. For example, Eddie is pretty much guaranteed to give you an ass beating, and there's not much you can do about it. So I would just say focus on not getting hit by bog standard enemies, and you should be fine. It's also worth noting that when Pyramid Head knocks your ass off the roof at the hospital, you are automatically put to near-death health. This damage is scripted, meaning it's unavoidable damage, and it does not count towards the 500 you're allowed to take. So you don't have to stress too much about that. And lastly, the thing that makes this run almost impossible is that you have to clear the boat stage in under 1 minute and 20 seconds. What makes this part so infuriating is that the controls for the boat on hard difficulty are fucking awful, and completing it in under 1:20 requires a near perfect execution from the player. There are many videos of how to do this on YouTube, and I explain it as best I can during my 10-star run. I made my 10-star run into one complete video experience, so if you'd like to follow along with my run, feel free to do so. It serves as a nice guideline of what's required throughout the run, so give it a look-see, and I truly hope that it helps. It's also worth noting that when attempting the 10-star run, it's best to go for the dog ending, because doing so allows you to skip the final boss, as well as the double pyramid head fight, and overall serves to help you stay under that 3-hour clear time. So it's highly recommended that you save your 10-star run for your dog ending run. The only other thing I'd say is that for the love of God, don't forget to pick up the Book of Crimson Ceremony before using the dog key, as it's very easy to forget to do this. Once you've cleared your 10-star run, there will be only one thing left to do. Start up a new game and simply make your way to the trailer on Saul Street and loot your green hyperspray. This can be done before entering the apartments, so you'll only be playing for another 10 minutes or so. And with that, that's going to be your Platinum Trophy! Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and if you guys enjoyed it, or it helped you out, please don't forget to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course hit that notification bell to support me, and I would really appreciate it. And hey, if you guys want more Path to Platinum guides on other games, don't forget to check out my full playlist, links in the description. Closing thoughts, hey, come join us in the live stream sometime, and chill if you want to come watch me trophy hunt in real time. And with that, I'm out. Have a great rest of your day, everybody, and I will definitely see you in the next one.